Maximus Decimus Meridius.
I am your father.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
Yes. And you're not sure about this, are you?
You're gonna die, clown!
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss? Sir? The most you ever lost on a coin toss. Call it.
Whose motorcycle is this?
It's a chopper, baby.
Whose chopper is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby.
Bring out today!
This is a tasty burger.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Hello! Welcome back to See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. I'm Russell.
And I'm Ben.
And Ben and Russell are back after a short hiatus from the show. Life sometimes gets in the way of life. Ben, how are you?
I'm doing well. Everything's, the wheels are spinning. It's just strolling along with this semester. I'm ready to be over with. But things are going well, though, other than just ready for summer and having any classes. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's all going good. I have a new job. I think I talked about it on the last podcast, but that's going really well, a lot more steady. It's a lot more enjoyable as well. So, those are all great things that are going on in my life. But yeah, nothing really new other than that. Yeah, I don't know. There's not much news this week. There is some movie news, but there was a big movie news thing that happened yesterday that I think that we should talk about because I have some opinions about it, and I think you might as well.
Piping hot takes.
Yes. Ben, what happened yesterday?
Oscars, baby.
Oh, yeah. The Academy Awards. Ben, do you want to explain the Academy Awards for the one person listening to this who might not know what the Academy Awards are?
Right. So the Academy Awards, basically, a group of voters, like, I don't even know how many people are actually in the Academy of, like, Motion Picture Sciences of America, or whatever the hell it's called. But they all come together. They put together their list of best movies in each particular category, whether you're talking makeup, cinematography, editing, actors, actresses in supporting roles, leading roles, all that good stuff. But basically, nominees are picked by a group of peers from those specific categories. So say a group of editors that are within the Academy will choose the nominees for best editing in a motion picture, and so on and so forth for each category. Makeup artists, costume designers, set designers, all that. But then the winners are picked by the Academy overall. So like everybody votes on this. So it's a bit of a maybe more a pick to to be chosen as the winner, like overall, because your specific group of or that specific group of professionals within that field are saying like your movie or your accomplishment is like the best of the best for that year.
Mm-hmm.
But then like the Oscars, the award ceremony overall is just the big Hollywood circle jerk of, hey, here's all of our movies and let's celebrate.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Being nominated might be a bigger honor than winning in some ways. But yeah, I think the Oscars are a really interesting thing because a lot of it, people do think, yeah, it is Hollywood patting itself on the back. But I think it's interesting because you have like animated short, you have like animated like feature, you have like things like documentary short, documentary feature, short film. You have all these other things that are up for awards that aren't part of the Big 14. The Big 14 being like for traditional movies. because you have the foreign, you have all these other things. And I think that's really important to see in cinema because it can show people who are just watching because they're interested in like the red carpet aspect or they're interested in something else and kind of exposing them to, hey, there's other things that are out here besides what you might see at your AMC theater. And I think that's really cool. And I think it's a really good way to sometimes push the envelope a little bit for cinema and for culture.
Right. Yeah. I guess I should say that, like, I do really enjoy the Academy Awards and watching them. Me calling him a big circle jerk, like
I understand.
That was more of ball busting on their part. Like, people that watch movies and like truly love like the art of filmmaking. Like, yeah, we know or we recognize like the like you were talking about as being like these could possibly be just like stepping stones for some of these people to get into just huge careers that could possibly pay off in like an Oscar nomination or a win in the Big 14 later in their career. So like this is, you know, even if it's just like a documentary short or animated short, it's, you know, it's no small feat to be nominated or you know, let alone win one of these things. And you can tell the reactions, especially last night. There were some acceptance speeches and reactions, like for the smaller categories that when people won, that you could just genuinely tell that these people, it was like the best night of their life to get nominated.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that shows how. Maybe you feel the same way. So this isn't a rant, but this is definitely how I feel, kind of unfiltered. So we both did or are doing film school. And I think a lot of people in the general public don't view film school as a legitimate thing. And I'm doing film in grad school, and people don't view it always as a legitimate thing. And then when you see these Academy Awards and you see all of this time, effort, money, love, like blood, sweat, tears that go into making a movie and like all the jobs it creates, then it legitimizes the art form. Because I think most people think of movies as just this thing that appears on a screen, and they don't see all the work and like time that goes into making 1, 2, or 3 hour movie. It takes years to do that, and then to be recognized at the Academy Awards, where a lot of people are jaded and they're like, "Oh, it's just the Oscars. Who cares?" Me personally, it is definitely a goal in my life to be even nominated for an Academy Award, because that's like an honor of, you go down in history as it's like being Dr. whatever. It's like Academy Award nominated or Academy Award winning blank. It like goes in front of your name forever. And I think that's something really powerful. And I think very few other things in art fields do that to that extent, where everyone recognizes how important and powerful it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, like, if there were, I recognize the time constraints and like the constraints on the Oscars to like really boil it down to these specific categories. But like you said, the amount of work it takes to create a movie is just, it's nuts. And there are people on movie sets that do untold amount of work that never even get recognized.
Yeah.
Like by the Oscars or by really anything, and it's those kind of people that make these things happen. We're talking like first assist or time managers, money managers, just like people that are herding cats left and right that never get like a recognition at all besides a credit in the at the end of the film. But like these people are working their asses off.
Yeah, and it's their like life's work is to do this. And then people, when the movie's over, only think, "Oh wow!" Like, I think a lot of times, like people in our circle, and that's not being an elitist, people in film or people who love movies do recognize cinematographers, actors, directors. But most people are like, if you see Chris Pratt in a movie, I think sometimes people think Chris Pratt directed the movie. Like, it's Chris Pratt's movie. Okay, yeah, he's part of it, but like, there's like 2,000 other people who made it so that he can be in the spotlight. And it's a lot of sacrifice for people and a lot of like unsung heroes to make a movie. Like even craft services like food. Like movies have to have so much food on set. Like, there's like paramedics, there's like all these crazy little jobs that are so big, that are people's careers. Like, there's doctors on sets. There's like all these things, like people who build the sets, people who light it, people who do the sound. And I think it's so important to recognize them and to really do that. And I think an award that the Academy is missing is Best Stunt Performance. Because those guys and girls are putting their lives literally on the line. They're like blowing themselves up. And they should get a goddamn Academy Award.
Yeah, their awards should not be limited to their own specific, like the stunt awards or whatever. I'm sure there's something like that. But yeah, I absolutely 100% agree. Like, these men and women need recognized.
Oh,
on the level of, you know, lead actresses. Like, they make the shit possible.
Oh yeah, like even in movies that you wouldn't realize there's stunt performers in, there's stunt performers. Like, most people think like Mission Impossible or like the Avengers or something. But even like smaller-ish movies like Black Klansman, I'm sure had stunt performers for a lot of the scenes in cars and things, because actors in their contracts are like, yeah, they're not doing that because if they die in a car crash, they're dead. And stunt performers are literally being like, no, yeah, I'll take that one for the team. And it's like they keep these actors safe, and they deserve an award.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think last night was the first Oscars since like 1960 or something, or 1970 something, without a host. What did you think of the Academy Awards without a host?
I thought it worked so well.
It almost worked better.
It was. I think it was like the shortest Oscar telecast in a long time by like 20 or 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. It still came in at like 3 hours and 20 minutes, which is pretty long, but it made a host and cutting out all the bullshit, like the little segments and like little, you know, haha funny parts. Like, it seemed so much more streamlined. Yeah. It was like, you know, it went from category to category with, you know, the musical or like, you know, a best song nominee, like being performed in, or their look at like, here it comes, you know, here's looking at one of the best picture nominations. Those kind of interrupted the flow a little bit. But other than that, I really, really think that they should just keep pushing forward without a host. Yeah, because the Oscars, I know there's like pageantry involved and stuff or whatever, but I think the awards should be about the awards. And like, yeah, showing each movie off, like, here are the 10 Best Picture or 9 Best Picture, and like doing each song in between segments, and then the in memoriam, and like these other pieces that are part of the show. I think like the host takes away from that and turns it into something that it shouldn't be. This should be like honoring hard work instead of a stand-up bit. Yeah, and that's not to say that there's been that like every host in the past has been bad. There's been good hosts, and obviously there's been bad hosts, but like, seeing it without a host, it made me pretty much like, it solidified for me that like it doesn't need one. No, it worked perfectly fine without one. And I think a lot of people, I'm sure, high up in the Academy and people who the Academy listen to for reviews probably agree with that. And I think maybe we might get another year of no host to see what they think, because I think a lot of people were shocked at how well it went off and how each presenter, instead of being on there for 5 seconds, got like 2 or 3 minutes to say their own little bit and then moved on, which gave it a good flavor. Like, each category and each presenter kind of had something to say. They had a little joke, they said something powerful, and then they presented their 2 awards, which I don't know, I really liked. Yeah, and I thought there were some really good presenters this year, or good presenting pairs. I really liked John Mulaney and Awkwafina. I thought they were funny. Yeah. Sam Jackson, just straight like having a conversation with Spike Lee. Like, that was really funny. Off prompter, just like about the Knicks. I was like, this works for me. I like it. It makes it adds that sort of airy, lighthearted tone that that they would have like. It would have seemed shoehorned in with a host. Yeah, with just like people coming out and talking to each other was really real. And I really, really enjoyed at the beginning Maya Rudolph, Tina Fey, and Amy Poehler. The joke they made,
where they just shat on the Academy, where it's like, oh, for those of you who are presenting during the commercial breaks, your award is presented to you by Hellmann's Mayonnaise. I thought that was really good. And because it really did show, and there's a few other subtle jabs at the Academy where I think actors and other creators were like, yeah, if you do this to us, they even said they weren't going to show up. If that happened.
I was glad to see that the Academy, or whoever it is, whatever single person or group of people that made the decision to bring back cinematography and editing onto the telecast, I'm glad they, made that little 180 and brought it back. And I think the blowback from the actual, filmmakers and actors and actresses themselves was a huge part of that, and not just fans or people that watch the show, being upset about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this year showed a few good things with the Academy Award. Before we get into the ceremony, it showed the Academy does have a backbone where they will get rid of a host if he does something stupid or offensive. Boom, I like that. If the Academy does something dumb on their part, actors and creators will stand up to them, which is cool. And then if something else happens, they'll stand up to each other. And I think it does show that there is power out there, and people will fight for what is truly important about cinema and what is good for art. Because at the end of the day, it's an art form. And I think a lot of times, the Twitter culture and Instagram culture forgets that is art. It's not just this money machine, which in some ways I think certain studios are becoming. And I think these kind of moments in Hollywood show that there is art there, and there are people who do this for passion. And
the studios as money machines, it's all, we understand that it's always their main is to, profit. That's understood, and we can't fault them for that, because that's their number one goal, is to make money. But when you look at the top 20 highest grossing films this year, I think I saw there was 2 or 3 of them were not either one part of a franchise, an IP that was already that already had an established fan base,
mm-hmm.
or a sequel of some sort.
Yeah,
there was 2 or 3 just plain old original movies in there, and that's crazy.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's good that there's 3, but they're out of, let's say, 30. There should be 20 of them that should be that, and not to say that sequels and all that stuff are bad. It's not. If you enjoy that, that's awesome. If you love these pre-existing properties, that's awesome. You love what you love. But I think there is hope out there for people who want to make something artistic and individualistic. Because, Marvel movies are artistic. We've seen that. They win Academy Awards. Comic book movies can win. Spider-Man won Best Animated, which, good. It deserved it. Black Panther did deserve a lot of those technical awards. Bohemian Rhapsody did deserve those. First Man did deserve its award. But I think there's other things that were snubbed. I do. There was a few awards last night that I was like, why didn't it go to blank or blank? And I think we're going to get into that. So, Ben, what did you think about the opening with Adam Lambert and Queen?
The very opening was the only thing I did not catch, because I was busy getting my kids in bed.
Okay.
I caught the tail end of it.
Okay. Even for the tail end, what did you think about the tail end having Queen open? Not even musically, if you didn't catch all of it, but that idea of opening with Queen.
I thought it was neat. I mean, I liked the band, and I thought it, obviously it was a choice made because of the 5 nominations that Bohemian Rhapsody got. It was, I guess that's pretty much sums up what I felt about it. I was like, cool, neat.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I thought it was an interesting way to open it. I think it did open with a bang, and I think it set the stage for what this Academy Awards was going to be, which was different. And I think if they closed with that, it would have been wrong. But having them open, like a cold open, boom, here's music, and here's like 80s music that you all know and probably love, and it's very topical, was kind of cool. Like, it was so unexpected because I knew Queen was going to do something. I thought, when they do the best song for each film, I thought they were going to put it there. It was just going to be one of the songs. But having him open was interesting. And then, let's get into some of the highlights of each award. Let me pull the list up of Academy Award winners. So, Academy, let's go to Google first because my computer somehow defaults to Yahoo, and I'm not about it. 2019 Oscar winners. Oh, wow, that's the first thing if you type in 2. So, New York Times 2019 Oscar winners. Let's do this right here. Okay, so do you want to do this in... Let's...
On the Guardian's website, I don't know if your website you brought up has, I think mine has it in order that they were announced last night.
Oh, cool. Let me look at this. Maybe this will have it. I'm not editing this out, by the way, because this is what this podcast is about. It's about organic stuff and stuff. We can go in your order because mine's out of order, but we can do it.
Okay. So, it started off with Best Supporting Actress. I think they kind of switch back and forth every year when starting with either supporting actress or actor. Because I want to say last year they did actor first.
Yeah, they'll switch them up.
I could be wrong, though.
They did, yeah.
But it was Regina King for If Beale Street Could Talk was the winner for that. I still have not seen that. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, I've heard it's like actually incredible.
And she was up against Emma Stone, Rachel Weisz, Amy Adams, and Marina de Tavira for their various films.
Yes, and you know what? I think that award was one of those ones where people didn't expect it, but I think it was a welcome change to have that win because it was a bit of an underdog, and I think her speech was really good to open up the show, and it was like a really powerful, good speech that hit well, and it really, again, set the stage.
Without seeing any of these movies yet, I kind of was like, Rachel Weisz seems like the favorite, pun intended, to get that one.
Yeah, I was thinking either her or Amy Adams for Vice, and I don't think Vice won any awards.
It won our next one, Best Makeup and Hair.
Oh, it won Best Makeup and Hair. Okay.
Yes. It was up against just Border and Mary Queen of Scots.
Yeah, which makes sense that Vice would have done it just because they had to turn so many of these huge superstars into political characters, which good for them. Like, seriously, good for that technical award. I always like to see technical awards like that, and like these other unsung heroes really get a shout out.
And then looks like our next one is Best Documentary, taken by Free Solo, a documentary film about free climbing.
Yeah.
With I want to say that there's kind of like a subplot about like mental health sprinkled in there as well. I've heard it's very good. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I've seen it, and it's really cool. I thought it was awesome that Jason Momoa presented the award because he's a rock climber. That's like what he does.
He looked suave as shit last night.
Pink velvet tux, hot.
And who did he present with?
Who did he present? I'm gonna look.
It was British actress
Helen
Mirren.
Oh yeah,
was it Helen Mirren?
Wait,
yeah. She was all over him. She was like, this dude's a fucking hunk.
He is, and I didn't realize. Like, I mean, I've seen him in Game of Thrones and other shows. He's so big. Like, he's not just big. He's like tall and built, and like, damn, like he also, for a dude who was wearing like no tie, just wearing a white shirt with like a necklace, good for him. He looks like a stud and a half.
Yep. All right. Now moving on to, I think this one was kind of or at least for me, this was a no-brainer. Best Costume Design, Black Panther.
Oh,
winner.
Yeah.
That seemed like there was such original thought and like craft that went into all the Wakandan outfits and everything like that. It's just kind of like, how could this not?
Yeah.
Because all the other ones were perfectly great, like costume design, like especially with like period pieces like The Favorite or Mary Queen of Scots and stuff like that. Like, but it's all stuff that, we've seen before.
Yeah.
To have like Black Panther come out with like all this completely original costume design was awesome. I'm glad that one won that.
Yeah, and it had like this like African inspired costume design, but with this futuristic take, because Wakanda's sort of this futuristic-y society, and like all the costumes were so like in that movie. That's like a big part of it. Like that's something you remember is like the costumes and even the Black Panther outfit. And people were like, "Well, it's CGI." Someone else designed that costume, even if it's a CGI costume. A lot of that is still designed by hand by artists. And that's what that award is for the art.
Yeah, there's still pen that goes on paper before any of it is ever put into a computer.
Yeah, put into a computer or put into a sewing machine. That still has to be like created by like artists.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what do we have next?
Best film editing. I think this is one of the first ones that was kind of controversy because I kept up with Twitter.
Yeah.
While watching this, and John Ottman for Bohemian Rhapsody won, and I've yet to see Rhapsody. It's like my next one on the list because I'm going to kind of retroactively watch a lot of these films as well. But I did see a particular scene that was put on Twitter that was not good editing. Like it was a particular scene that had at least 25 different cuts, like between the band Queen and a gentleman from like the BBC, I think, and it just seemed like, oof, a lot of people that are in the know about editing were kind of like, why did this win?
Yeah, so I've seen Bohemian Rhapsody. I've seen it 3 times now. The only scene I could see editing working for is the Live Aid performance at the end. The Live Aid performance is incredible, but Black Klansman in general just had incredibly good editing. The scene with Birth of a Nation at the end in Black Klansman, that editing and the suspense that it builds with the bomb scene is just legitimately white knuckle kind of suspense. Where, I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody of course had stuff, but it's nothing like it. Black Klansman is just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah, it was a perfect example of editing, adding to like the tension and the overall feeling that you are getting from watching the movie, and not just being a thing from getting from one shot to another.
Yes, and I love Michael Keaton's speech on editing, where he's like, editing is what builds suspense. It's what makes us better actors, and he's like, from experience, he's like, it gives you a better performance. And I thought that was awesome to say, because I think that's not something that's said enough, is like how important editing a film together is. Yeah,
and Michael Keaton's awesome. He doesn't even need a co-presenter for that award. And he's like, yeah, Michael Keaton, I'm fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. He came out by himself and did that. I was like, that's so cool. And then what's next?
Got Best Production Design, Black Panther winning again.
Obviously.
Which, yeah, I mean, they created an entire fictional world.
Yeah.
I didn't see any way it couldn't have won.
Yeah. Again, same thing with costume design. Obviously, it's so original and unique. Good for it winning a technical award. What's next?
We got Best Cinematography, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma.
Yes. Have you seen Roma?
Not yet. Still not. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go on a spiel here so I don't have to do it later, because he won 3 awards last night.
Yes.
First, he produced, wrote, directed, and did cinematography for that film, which there's a term for that. It's called a predator. Producer, writer, editor, director. So he did that for the film. The cinematography in Roma is breathtaking. It's crazy. Like, there's shots in that film, I'm like, oh my god, like, it's so creative. And then, spoiler alert for director coming up, I'm not going to say anything, the direction in that film is, there's heartbreaking scenes, there's lighthearted scenes. It's such a unique film, and it's so, people are like, it's Oscar bait. Yeah. But it's really goddamn good. And I mean, it's incredible, and I think it deserved everything it won. And I think it deserved a certain other award that we'll talk about near the end.
Yeah, the only other movie from this list that I've seen is A Star is Born, for Best Cinematography, I should say. And I just watched that this weekend, and I thought that the cinematography for that, especially in the concert footage, was very...
Yes.
The handheld camera work that was done for all of the concert footage, I thought that was really, really damn good.
Yes, I completely agree, and I think that was its only competition, was that. But Roma, even if you look at clips online, the film is so crisp. I don't know what it is about the film, because I know he used an Arri Alexa to film it and had full creative control. It just looks so clean and clear, and like, there's certain shots. The opening shot of the film is like water going over a floor, like dirty water, and it just like, it slowly pans like the whole thing. A lot of the film is like this camera that's like wandering through a house, and it just like moves around. It's a little Wes Anderson-y, but it's more of a wandering camera. It's like if Wes Anderson and Alejandro G. Huerto, who did Birdman, Babel, and The Revenant, and Guillermo del Toro had a baby together, it would be the cinematography for Roma. And I know I just geeked out real hard on that, but as someone who is in cinematography, I geeked out so hard over that movie. So I'm so happy it won. But yeah.
So for the next, we'll put the next two together because it's best sound editing and sound mixing, both won by Bohemian Rhapsody.
Obviously. Because
I think for me, the Bohemian Rhapsody was most likely to win these two because of, I would think that very particular care would be given to the sound, like editing and mixing for like the concert footage, or the concert scenes, especially like the Live Aid one at the end.
Yeah.
And like, if there's going to be anything that Bohemian Rhapsody took away, even though it did take away 4 of its 5 nominations tonight, I thought it was going to be the sound stuff.
Yeah, completely agreed. And I won't get into it too much, but for a lot of the singing, it was a mixture of Rami Malek's voice, this Canadian guy who's a voice double for Freddie Mercury, apparently, for the film, who can do a lot of it, and Freddie Mercury. So it's 3 voices kind of mashed into each other and edited through each other, which gives it that sound where it's Freddie Mercury, but there's a little bit of cinema in it. And then the sound mixing, of course, to give it that 80s, 70s rock feel. Really, really well done. And just watching the movie, it booms. And so good for them. Next.
Best foreign language film, Roma, from Mexico.
I think this is why Roma didn't win Best Picture. And Alfonso Cuarón, in an interview backstage, apparently said he's happy Roma won. I mean, of course, you're happy it wins Best Foreign Film, but he says as soon as it won Best Foreign Film, he was happy it didn't win Best Picture, so he gave it to somebody else. Because he said it wouldn't have been fair for it to win both. Or that's kind of like an implication that I've read. That it wouldn't have been fair for it to take both of those categories. And I don't know the exact quote, but that's what I've been reading online. Which, if that's true, that's incredibly gracious of him and very good taste.
Right. I mean, the guy's not hurting for Oscars either.
Yeah.
I really liked his speech for this category when he said, like, I grew up with foreign films too. They were called Jaws and The Godfather. I'm like, that's a really interesting, unique take that you don't hear from ever. Because there's people that grow up in foreign countries that, we can't just think those movies like Jaws or anything made in America are like the end all be all of movies. They're foreign to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And for him being from Mexico, doing that, and just a lot of that whole thing. And when Guillermo del Toro, not Guillermo del Toro, not Benicio, Javier Bardem came on stage and did his speech in Spanish and was talking about what he said. I thought that was really good. And there was a few jabs in there. And I was like, yes, good for these jabs. And they're very subtle, but they're like poignant. And I like that. But yeah, so good for Alfonso Cuarón again.
Right. Next up, Best Supporting Actor, Mahershala Ali for Green Book. I still have not seen Green Book either. I've heard a lot of takes about Green Book.
It is,
which gets into like kind of a lot of the controversy we'll get into later.
Yeah. Green Book is fantastic, and there's controversy based off of some of the subject material that's tackled in the film, especially in the era that we live in today, for better or worse. I mean, the social awareness that we have today, very good. But it does breed some controversy with films like this. But I think this is a story that needed to be told. And I think that it did get told in 2018, 2019, was good and powerful. And Mahershala Ali's performance, when he did that, I'm like, yeah, he's going to win. Like, as soon as you watch the movie, even before this, I'm like, he's going to win the Oscar for this. Like, same as Moonlight when he won Best lead
supporting actor again.
Yeah, Best Supporting Actor.
Too, yeah.
Again, it's one of those performances like, yeah, he's going to win.
Right. I didn't see Adam Driver taking this one. He was awesome in BlacKkKlansman, but I didn't think it was anything that was just like above and beyond.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't talked about, like, months after the movie came out, anything like that. I really liked Sam Elliott in A Star Is Born. He didn't have a ton of screen time, but it was just like...
He stole his scenes.
Yeah, the range that he showed, and yeah, exactly. He stole his scenes. Heartbreaking shit.
Oh, yeah. That was one, when I saw Sam Elliott in that, I was like, whoa. Like, dude, whoa. Because I know Sam Elliott's an incredibly famous actor, but whenever I think of him, I think of him from The Big Lebowski as the narrator. Yeah. And seeing him in A Star Is Born in this role, I'm like, whoa, like, damn. Like, one of those, like, snap, snap, snap. Good for you.
All right, next up, Best Animated Feature, Spider-Man. What fucking movie should have been in Best Picture?
It should have.
Even if it didn't win, which I would have been fine with it not winning, because like it's like you can almost like see the Academy never giving that to like an animated movie in this day and age.
Yes, unless it was something crazy out there. Yeah,
right. But easily, I mean, we've sang Spider-Man's praises on here before, but it's easily the most creative and original movie of the year as far as stylistic. This was the first time since like 2006 that a movie or that the Best Animated Feature didn't go to Disney.
Yes. I honestly, if Into the Spider-Verse didn't exist, it was going to go to Isle of Dogs.
I heard that it was either going to be Isle of Dogs, that was like kind of the front runner, or Incredibles 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Phil Lord and Chris Miller's speech is something very similar to something we've talked about on this podcast, where why this and Black Panther are so important. It's like, this looks like me and he speaks like me. Mm-hmm. That them saying that on stage was so important and so like needed today that just that speech alone is why they won that. Besides the fact that it was one of the most incredible animated films ever. Like I don't know how to even like articulate how cool that movie is. Just go watch it. Like, you need to see it. Watch it on your TV. Don't watch it on your phone. If you have a really nice computer screen, watch it on there in a dark room with your headphones in. It's incredible.
Yeah. As of the time that we're recording this, I've already pre-ordered it, like on digital.
Same.
And it comes out tomorrow on digital, and like I can't freaking wait to show my kids this movie.
Yeah, and it's really good for kids, but it also, I mean, I went to go see it as like an adult, and I cried. The Stan Lee scene got me.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And I was so... you want to talk about In Memoriam right now?
Yeah, sure.
I'm really, really surprised they didn't put Stan Lee or Burt Reynolds last.
Who was last?
It's actually someone I didn't know. And I mean, I'm sure the Academy recognized this person as a huge contributor to cinema. And of course, like, if you're in memoriam at all, like, that's a huge loss to the film industry in any capacity. But I would have thought Stan Lee would have been last just because his current contribution to culture and for the last 50, 60 years kind of thing, and what his impact in his mind has done to cinema in the last 15 years.
Yeah, he's been arguably one of the single most like influential like storyteller of the past 60 years.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and especially with like what he did with X-Men and Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and Black Panther to combat racism in a really, really powerful way for like kids and families to be like, hey, just because you're different doesn't mean you're bad. It can be a good thing, and it should be a good thing. And I think that alone is just one thing I was disappointed. They didn't do this year. It was the honorary Oscar. Like the Oscar.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. I thought last year it should have gone to Stan Lee because he was 94 years old. Like, there's not many more years.
Clock was ticking.
Yeah, and I really thought Stan Lee should have gotten it. And I think maybe next year maybe they'll give it to him next year, or the family on his behalf gets the honorary Lifetime Achievement Award. And it's a little sad that it didn't happen and he didn't get it, or he wasn't around to see it happen.
Yeah. I really want to know who was the last person they put in there. Like Burt Reynolds, he was really early in the list.
Yeah, he was really early in the list. And so was Milos Forman, the director. He was really early on the list. I thought he was going to be at the end. Yeah.
I was really happy to see. I mean, it's kind of this movie that he's done was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah,
but I was just happy that they showed like footage from that.
Same. And when I saw that, like, that In Memoriam always kind of like gets me choked up just because it's like, and there's so many young people on there as well, like creators, and I'm like, it's so sad. And even like with people who are in their 90s and everything, it's still so sad to see people who leave an impact on the industry leave. And I'm glad the Oscars does honor them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So next category. Next
we have our short films, our best live action and best animated. Live action went to Skin. Mm-hmm. And to be fully honest, I haven't heard of any of the live action shorts ever.
My girlfriend knew about Skin somehow. She did. And she's not a huge cinema person anyway. But somehow she knew about it. Maybe she looked it up while we were watching it. But apparently she knew stuff about it. So, yeah. Good for that film.
Okay. Yeah. And then best animated short was Bao, which was a Pixar short. Which those take it every year. And because it deservedly so. They're incredible. And
that Bao is so good in every way. When you watch that, you're gripped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, next.
And then best documentary short, period, end of sentence.
That's on Netflix. And
Is it?
Yes, I want to go watch that. It is on Netflix, and it was like a student film as well, or it was like inspired by students.
That's right, yeah. And I remember the acceptance speech was really, really authentic and genuine. You could tell like all of them were so happy to be up there.
And they didn't expect really cool to be up there either. It was one of those like, whoa, wait, you called our name? And I thought that was really cool.
Our next one, this was a bit of a shocker for me. Best visual effects.
Yeah, First Man.
Up against Avengers, Solo, Ready Player One, and Christopher Robin. Like, you figured, like, Avengers has this in the bag. But no, it went to First Man, one that's not a visual effects-driven film.
And the only non-Disney produced film.
Oh, was Ready Player One a Disney produced?
Ready Player One? Oh, no, that's Amblin. Never mind. That's okay. Because that's Spielberg.
Yeah, that's Spielberg stuff. Okay.
But I mean, I thought Ready Player One might take it because it's all digital effects.
Right. It's a overabundance of digital effects.
But I mean, First Man is one of those films where maybe there's way more digital effects than you realize in the film. And it's one of those, like, maybe if you watch the behind the scenes, like, I haven't watched it, but it's one of those, maybe if you watch that and you see what the movie looked like before, you're like, holy shit. And I think that's the key to good digital effects, is that you don't even realize how much is really in that film.
Yeah, it enhances it without it necessarily sticking out like a sore thumb.
There's a really cool YouTube like video that's like kind of like one of those video essays that's like why visual effects don't suck sometimes. And it like shows like Mad Max, it even shows like the girl with the dragon tattoo. A lot of the scenes with snow, they filmed in different parts of the year and they digitally added snow or they digitally add fire. And like little things to a lot of movies that you don't realize, or like they change people's eye color or hair color digitally, and you're like, whoa, like it adds continuity. Or like in someone's shirt, let's say in one take there's a stain, digitally removing that. And like these tiny little things that you don't even recognize, but they're digital effects.
Yeah. It's really bad when the like digital effects can either be like that, like very unnoticeable but enhance the movie, but when you notice them, that's when it's the worst. Like if they're to be noticed, like the worst thing for me is like blood spurts. Mm-hmm. If that's digital, I'll notice it every fucking time over like a squib.
Yeah, there's something about digital liquid that looks weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, digital liquid, I don't know what it looks like jelly-ish. It doesn't look the right way how water really looks or blood would really look. It looks like gel.
I think it's the movement. And obviously you'll never be able to perfectly mimic something that's practical and real, like with computer animation, but it's the movement of the spurts of blood or like water or something that it doesn't feel, it just doesn't feel real.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like grounded, and like the reactions to it by the performers and actors, it's not the same as if someone actually squirted blood at you and you actually jumped, because those are like, in the movie, like The Thing, that's all like practical effects, and with the blood squirts and all the craziness, like you see those actors actually reacting to all that, and that's what makes that kind of movie so scary, is because you're getting a genuine reaction. Or like the scene in Alien where
I was going to say chestburster, it's a very infamous use of surprise from the director. For anybody that doesn't know, and anybody that's seen the movie and knows what we're talking about, but Ridley Scott, in the scene where the chestburster comes out of John Hurt, like the first time you see one of these aliens, that effect, none of the other cast members knew that was going to happen. So the genuine reaction to blood just being like sprayed on them, and this thing coming out of the dummy chest was a completely authentic reaction from all of them.
Yeah, I've read like articles about like they kept them away from each other for that day of shooting, so when they got to set, it was already set up, and then they're like, something's up. Like they knew something was going to happen, but they had no idea what the hell it was. And there's a few that's like in It, like the Pennywise stuff. They kept Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise, away from the kids until they first see him. So all the kids have a genuine reaction when they see the clown. And I love when filmmakers do that to purposefully get a reaction.
Yeah, there's no better way to do it than to capture something that's, a genuine reaction. Yeah,
instead of acting, because they're not acting.
Yeah.
Like they're being like real people, and that's the coolest. And then next category.
Next, we are going on to our screenplays. Best Original went to Green Book.
Yep. Which, kind of obviously, yeah.
I kind of figured, I really thought that Roma was going to take this one too.
The only reason I didn't think Roma would take Best Original Screenplay is just because I think if you watch Green Book, they're so different. And I think the Academy was looking for that because, I don't know, Roma's an incredibly good film. Like, it's incredible. But I think Green Book had something else to it that there's another dimension to it that I think the Academy really liked.
Apparently, because it seemed like this was the year for Green Book. Race-driven white savior movies tend to be the Academy's bag, apparently, because a lot of people were comparing this to like Crash from 2006. But then Best Adapted Screenplay went to Black Klansman. Very happy to see that, and I loved seeing Spike Lee
Go
genuinely
crazy.
happy and give a big nice leg wrap around hug to Sam Jackson.
Yeah, that was a moment that, like, if they didn't give that to him, I'd be like, guys, what are you doing? Like, just give him the goddamn award that he's been waiting for forever.
Yeah.
There's a fun fact that I'll give for right now for the Best Picture. Black Klansman does not win Best Picture. Do you know what Do the Right Thing lost to?
Yeah, Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah, and this one lost to Green Book. So a black guy driving a white guy, then a white guy driving a black guy. I think that's a little, I don't know if I'd call it poetic justice or like what it is, but it's like, wow.
Well, yeah, Spike Lee even mentioned last night, he's like, anytime someone is driving someone else in a movie, I lose.
Yeah. And like, that's crazy. And I mean, yeah. So, next award.
Next one was Best Original Score, went to Black Panther.
Yeah. I thought Black Klansman was going to get it because their score was nuts.
It was a mixture of like traditional strings and an orchestra mixed with like that kind of
yeah,
like guitars and like kind of riffing like that.
And like,
it was a very unique
and there was like a
score,
lot of
really
percussion. It was really like boom, boom. Like it had this like energy and like this like dread to it the whole time.
Yeah. The composer for Black Panther, Ludwig Göransson, that guy was really young.
Yeah,
he looked like he was in his like mid-20s.
Yeah, he was Ryan Coogler's roommate in college.
Yeah,
which I think is really funny that they like worked on their first student film together and then won an Oscar for him. That's really cool to see.
That's a huge thing for our industry, for people that listen to this that might be wanting to get into the industry. Know people, make connections.
Yeah, don't make enemies.
You never know when doing a favor for someone or just being in the right place at the right time or being nice to someone might pay off like that.
Yeah, when someone like gets an opportunity, they're gonna always or most often ask their friends to help them before a random person, because even if, let's say, your friend isn't the world's most talented guy, you trust him more. And you can work with them better than some guy who might be like the most talented dude, but like a dick. So, yep. If you're in the film industry, be nice to people. It pays off.
All right, next we have, in my opinion, I think this was the biggest shoe-in winner of all. Best Original Song, Shallow from A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way this isn't winning. And to its credit, it's a great song. And Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga performing it live on stage, like, whew, that got steamy.
Yeah, okay, the end of that song, I was like, wait, are they like a thing? Like, there's some chemistry going on there, and I don't know what was happening, but I was like, damn. Yeah,
they were looking at each other like, we ain't acting.
Yeah, there's something there.
Bradley Cooper, actual significant other, girlfriend, whatever she is to him, I don't know. She was sitting next to him in the crowd, and apparently there's footage of when they finish their song and they come off the stage that she takes Bradley Cooper, like, takes his arm to take him back to her seat and just completely, like, turns her back on Gaga. Like,
ooh,
he ain't your man. I don't know if this actually happened, but I thought that someone mentioned it on Twitter, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched that, I literally was just like, and I turned to my girlfriend, and I was like, wait, they're not a thing, but you don't just look at one of your friends like that. Like, that's not a look you just give random people.
Yeah. And the music, and especially, like, Lady Gaga being just an otherworldly performer is what really elevated A Star Is Born for me.
Yeah.
Without her and without some that she wrote with it, would have been just like a perfectly fine movie.
Yeah.
But it was definitely elevated by her.
Yeah, and I was surprised that Bradley Cooper didn't get nominated for Best Director, because he directed that film.
Right.
That was a weird one that he didn't get nominated.
Yeah, I would like to think he was on like a short list of like, he just missed the cut or something like that.
Yeah. But next category.
Next up, Best Actor. This one was a big shock for me. Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, I really thought he was nominated just kind of as like almost like a placeholder, like to go up against the rest of them. But he took it. That was kind of crazy.
You know what? Bohemian Rhapsody has its flaws, but Rami Malek's portrayal of Freddie Mercury, I know there's inconsistencies in the film where certain events didn't happen in that order, having to do with Freddie's diagnosis of HIV/AIDS. It didn't happen that exact same way, but I think they needed to add it in the film the way they did and kind of change the timeline to illustrate this man's struggle and what he's really going through psychologically, because I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that, like why he died, and the way he acted. So I think it was good, and that's like changing history for creative reasons. And I'm sure because Freddie Mercury's dad, I think his mom and sister are still alive, and they were like gave their blessing to the story in the film. So I'm sure like the family as well was very receptive to, yes, we're going to change a few things, but be respectful to the real man. And Rami Malek's performance of that character is just incredible. There's a scene,
I really need to get on watching this because
there's a scene.
I need to have.
Yeah.
I need to have it.
Yeah. There's a scene in the film where he's playing the piano upside down like this. He's like laying down and the piano's above him. He learned how to do that. And I was like, yeah, there's a few things like that where he learned a few things. And the Live Aid performance, he does a 1-to-1 for Freddie Mercury. And I think it's something like that and a few of the other mannerisms and like walking like him, talking like him, taking on that character. I think he really, in that film, you forget it's Rami Malek and you're like, oh, it's Freddie. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I really liked his acceptance speech. He seemed genuinely almost like taken aback. Like, wow, I wasn't really expecting this, but thanks everybody for believing in me.
Yeah. And did you see Viggo Mortensen's face when they didn't call his name?
I didn't.
When they for Green Book, the speech, Viggo looked so pissed. When they're like, thanks to Viggo, he's just like on stage. He like smiles politely, but you can tell he's pissed he didn't win Best Actor.
Okay, I might have to go back and look at that because I did not notice him at all.
Go back and watch that, and with that in mind.
I did notice our next one, Best Actress, Olivia Colman won for the favorite. I noticed that Glenn Close was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, her like face just like dropped. But I really love that Olivia Colman was like, I'm so happy I won, but I didn't want to win like this. I didn't want to beat you guys. Like, and that was so sweet of her to say. And Glenn Close, it made her smile. Because I'm sure, like, if you're the underdog like that and you beat your idol, like, that would be me in, like, cinematography beating, like, Alfonso Cuarón or Roger Deakins. Like, for an Oscar, I'd be like, thank you, but I didn't want to beat you guys. Like, you deserve this more than I do kind of thing. And, like, the whole, like, where she's like, I hope my kids are watching because this is not going to happen again.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really, really funny.
She had the best reaction to her name being called. She was like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? Like, I got called?
I thought she fainted for a second because she didn't stand up right away. And they didn't play her off. They let her keep talking. Because they're like...
Yeah. And I really liked... in like the best non-winner reaction too was Emma Stone next to her. Emma Stone was like just as fucking like pumped about her winning.
Yeah, it's just like, what? Like, you just won this? And like everyone was like stunned. And I thought that was super cool.
Yeah. All right. Running down to the last two here. Best director, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma.
He deserved it.
Yeah. Really not a... It seemed like it was like between him and Spike Lee for this one.
And I'm going to tell my Spike Lee story after we get to Best Picture.
Okay, and Best Picture, Green Book.
Which was a surprise, but no one was upset except for Spike Lee.
Spike Lee was, and a lot of Twitter disagreed with Green Book as well.
Yes, I do know Twitter disagreed in a lot of ways, but it wasn't one that was like... It was a surprise, but it wasn't like an upset, if that makes sense. It was like people who like had seen, like I've seen both of them, and when it won, I was like, oh, okay, like I can see that, but I didn't think that was going to win. But yeah, that it's not non-deserving of the award, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It like if you're nominated for Best Picture, you deserve it, of course. But like when Green Book won, I was like, oh, whoa, like, damn. But apparently, Spike Lee walked out.
Yeah, he was none too happy about it.
And apparently, in an interview, he said the refs made the wrong call, which I think is the least polite thing you can say about someone else winning an award. I think that is bad sportsmanship. That's being a sore loser, and it's being very immature about not winning, even though you already won an Academy Award that night. I think that is incredibly disrespectful and not cool.
I can't really speak to what part he was upset about, whether it was him not winning or Green Book winning.
Yeah.
But from what I've read, and I'll have to watch the movie to kind of form my own personal opinion on it. But from what I've read, it's like a bit out of. I've read that it's a bit out of touch because, like the whole stage was filled basically, besides Mahershala Ali, if he was up there, I didn't notice. Was filled with like old white guys writing or creating a movie about race.
Yeah,
and I think Spike Lee might have been upset about that aspect of it, and that like not a single person of color like was a creative process of that, and like I don't think that even like the writer of the original book, who was a black man, like was even mentioned in like the thank yous or anything, and Peter Farrelly, I think that's the right Farrelly that directed it. He was like, it all starts with Viggo Mortensen. I thought, like, not seeing it, I thought that was kind of a weird, like, shout out to, like,
I
him.
did. I thought it should be, it all starts with Mahershala.
Right.
Which, in a lot of ways, it does. Because that's kind of, in a lot of ways, he's, like, the catalyst for the film. That film wouldn't be a movie, it wouldn't be a story without Mahershala's character changing Viggo. And that's the thing. Without that, you just have Viggo being Viggo in the film, but Mahershala is the one that really makes him become a better person. And I can see why Spike Lee was upset on that end, but I still don't think the reaction was appropriate.
Yeah, Spike Lee's gonna Spike Lee though. We all know he's definitely he will not hold back his opinion because he's that's the kind of filmmaker he is. He's going to take his chances. He's going to put what he wants to put in his stuff. So I would expect him to be the same in his personal life as well.
I do respect that. I respect the thing. I just don't think it was like as classy as it could have been, if that's the right term. I don't know. It's Academy Awards. Like, I'm sorry you lost this one, but you already won one. And I understand where you might be coming from, but don't shit on another film. You can just be like, maybe better luck next time. Good for them. But it was sort of like sore loser-y, and you don't want to see that from such an incredibly talented director.
One thing I did see on Twitter was a couple of BBC correspondents like were interviewing him after, and they're like, "Did you not like Green Book?" And he like looks at them like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then he's like, "Wait, are you guys British? Are you British? Well, let me put it in a way that you guys will understand. It wasn't my cup of tea." And then he like cackled and ran off. It was kind of funny. What happened.
But like, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. You're entitled to your own reaction. But yeah,
art is subjective.
It is.
It's just as subjective for the people that make the decision on what's going to win. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Just because it's Academy Award winner for Best Picture or Green Book doesn't mean it really is the best movie that was released that year, because it's not called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the best examples of that ever happening is in 1977, Annie Hall beat Star Wars. Like, okay.
I don't know if the Academy was ready at that point to give the Best Picture or Best Picture award over a more conventional romantic comedy like Annie Hall.
Yeah, and because like hindsight sees in 2020, so yeah, having a space opera win Best Picture back then would have been people's heads would have exploded.
Right.
Like literally, people were freaked out. But then now, like so many years later, we'd be like, well, obviously. But back then, it would have blown. That might be how some of these films that we're seeing today are, or like a few years ago, people were like, their heads were blown. That Shape of Water one last year, but looking back, you're like, yeah, obviously. Or like when Birdman won, people were like, Birdman won? Well, obviously. Like, it's incredible. Like, it's all shot to look like it's in one take. Alejandro Giannuerto, like, it's crazy. But, yeah, Ben, do you have anything else to say about the Academy Awards last night?
I'm just glad it wasn't 4 hours long, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching the telecast. I wasn't bored during it.
Yeah, same.
And it was, it was good pacing. I liked that it was just bang, bang, bang. It wasn't a slog, so I enjoyed it. I hope they continue with this pattern in the future. Me
too. It was very tastefully done. It was very well done. It gets a Russell thumbs up from Russell. It gets 3 thumbs up. That's my new rating system. It gets 3 thumbs up. But yeah, Ben, do you have anything else for the show, or are we gonna rack up with rack up with a little shorter episode that's just about the Academy Awards?
I think that's all she wrote for me.
Yeah,
nothing of note to add to this one.
Yeah, same. Well, guys, I'm gonna sign off. This is See What Sticks. We do have a website. We always will link it below. I'm going to link Ben's social media today below, so Ben can get a little bit of that social media love. But yeah,
sweet follower cred.
Yeah, but thank you so much for listening to our Oscars talk. We hope you learned something. I'm Russell. Ben, sign us out.
Like every single week, thank you guys, as always, for listening to us. We hope to catch you next week as well. I am Ben. This has been See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. Thank you all. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.